This is a video on how to send a form data to Airtable using Byteline. And I will also show how we can easily handle linked records. And we are going to use Byteline webhooks as a trigger to accomplish this project. Okay, so for the setup, I have this simple form with some student information um, and the course, which is a linked record on Airtable side, and I will show you soon, and also some comments. So now on the Airtable side, so I have this course registration table, which has a sample data from one student, has email, name, some comments here, and then this field course that is linked to the courses table here. So now, so this table has name and the record ID. So now let's look on the Webflow side. So if you look into this course, so these are all the options. And now let me show you one of the options. So the text is the just the name of the course and the value is the record ID. And this must match the record ID over here. And this is just a function column and we are just showing the record ID of this row in Airtable. So this exactly matches what we have over here. So if you see JavaScript 101, this ends with the SLL. So same over here. Okay, so now let's create a flow or create the flow on Byteline side. We'll call it form submission and it should be the trigger should be webhook. So now this is the endpoint on which your form needs to submit, where the form should send the data. So let's copy this URL and on Webflow, go to the form block. Uh, and when you click on its settings, so this is the action. So just to remove whatever the link you have here, or it might just say Webflow default, and you paste the link. And after that, publish this form. So now let's look into the actual form here. So I'm gonna enter some sample information, and let's pick the JavaScript course. Now on Byteline, so the first thing we want to do is we want to register what the data will look like when it comes into this flow. And the way you do that is by clicking this button, register body format now. And when you do that, it will start listening for any requests from the form. So here is our form. So let's submit the data. And it says input data structure captured successfully. So now when we go to the Byteline, it also shows a success message over here. So now the flow knows what kind of data is expected. So now let's add the next node, which is Airtable update records. So we'll now configure this to accept the data from form and push it to Airtable. So let's first configure the base ID. And the way you do that is just click on this link. It will take you to this page and then select your base. In my case, it's this one. And I'm just going to copy this over here. And the next is the table name. And the table name is course registration. So just make sure you type it exactly same. And after that, when you move out of this, that text field is going to auto complete the fields here. So these are all the fields that we have in Airtable. Just make sure that you have at least one row in the table so that it can show these autocomplete options. And now let's do the mapping. So now if you look into the selector, so here is all the data that came from the form. So the first thing is email. So we're gonna just keep on clicking on the data to map it correctly. And other thing you can do is you can just, if you start typing, it's going to show you autocomplete options, comments. And now this is the tricky one, which is the course, because this is a linked record. And the way Airtable expects this linked record is it should be an array instead of text field. So if you see these icons on the left, it's saying this is the icon representing that it's a text field, but you can click on it to change it to a different format. So we're going to pick array. So once that is done, so that's all we need on this task config. So let's save it. And now we deploy the flow. And now just let's just run the test. So let's open the form. So let's again enter the data. So first time the data was not actually sent anywhere. That was just used to register the input format. So I'm just entering some data, and then let's pick introduction to HTML. Um, okay, so and other important thing we can do is, so if you see this Webflow site, so I have two pages. So one is the actual form, and then the second is the thank you page. Right, so what I want to do is once user registers or enter the data, they should go to this form. And to get the link of this form, I'm just gonna open this here. So this is the link. And what we want to do is on the Byteline in the webhook task, so you edit it, and in the redirect URL, you specify that link. So what you're saying is, so once the form submission is successful, send the user to this link. So let's save it and deploy again. So now we will, so here is our form and we have already filled in all the information. So now let's test it. Okay, so that was successful and we got this next page. So now let's look into Airtable. So I already got this new row. So I have the email, the name information, comments, and the course. So see the course is also linked to the right course. And as you can see by the shading, I mean, it's a link to the this other table. Okay, so I hope it will, this video was helpful. Thanks a lot.